What's up? 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 Everybody, my peace, my folks, family, social media family, subscribers, and likewise any visitors to that being my own personal social media channel, and likewise as well all the same chat room or comment section or whatever one wants to call it. How you living? Nobody living foul out there, is they? Are you? Y'all is? Hopefully not. Hey, everybody. It took me quite a while to compose this here. So far as concerning the very basics of the preliminaries being the intro as an introduction and the footnote before I would have possibly think of it with my intention to get things up and running so far as this present social media broadcast of video, and especially while this one proverbial neighbor from damn hell being the likes of one of the dime a dozen public nuisances of problem neighbors was carrying on with the same old effing BS, bogus crap. I mean, he really cut it up much earlier, before he must have gotten wind that I could possibly be drafting a strawberry letter 22 to send it off to, the higher ups, uh, proprietors of this public facilities, real estate premises of properties. Otherwise, he would have kept on going at it at a pace as he was going about it much worse and much earlier, Then how for a time was just trying to think to call it in with little or no avail. As a matter of fact, nobody was picking up. I called two different numbers. And he was still acting like, you know, not so much of an idiot compared to, and not so much of a sicko either, compared on to a creep. And at the same time, all the while making like the real life bam bam rubbles. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And of the not so friendly kind, sort of type to be compared on to the character for the Flintstones television cartoon franchise with its many different episodes. Yeah, this guy fella, he is really off his rocker, like a real life Hannibal Lecter. Compliment the silence of the lambs film or movie flick or Hollywood or Hollywood California motion picture production, you know, for a psychodrama, you know, about some kind sort of type of a male character of a mass murderer or serial killer, you know, like to be compared on to the late real life ones of JWG and JD, JWG, John Wayne Gacy, and JD, Jeffrey Dahmer, or Richard Speck for that matter, RS, being of whom had murdered or killed the majority of most of those female nurses, and was the only one among them that had survived to be able to tell the story of what happened back then in the 60s. Was that the University of Illinois, Chicago? No, that's on the west side. But this was for the University of Illinois, or rather, not the University of Illinois on the west side, but the University of Chicago on the south side is what I meant to say. Prince P continued regular in mind compared to our Prince Talk Institute to computers. And where's the and so I say as a backtrack here with reason or purpose of being, so I can go on following to continue from where I went that my person had last left off so I can finish up as a complete a form of previous prior and I thought that saying such word. And was the only female nurse among them that had survived was the very one that he himself had sexually assaulted or raped, before he went head hunting for those other female nurses. Whereas in the meantime, that one female nurse that was the only one he had sexual assault or rape hid up under bed for those premises of properties facilities of a medical establishment while he went head hunting for those other female nurses and murdered or killed all of them, the rest of them, and then just simply left and didn't tie up loose ends because that one female nurse, being the only one that he had sexual assault or rape hid up on bed. After he left, she was in the clear. Yeah. But anyway, my present proverbial name from hell reminds me of the likes of characters is that being who would compliment a psycho movie flick drama, you know, psychodrama movie flick or whatever I would say, or Hollywood or Hollyweird California, but then the majority of most celebrities are weird, then because the majority of most of them have sold their souls to the devil to get where they are at now, for fortune, for fame, fortune, and friends. You know. Then getting back to the original subject matter, topic of discussion at hand to be debated, or that being of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and or representing their. So this one MF, this one SOB, the same of a proverbial name from hell, excuse my conference about that, about express myself with the usages of expletive profanity or using cuss words, as they say. He's off his freaking rocker, And he's still not satisfied with how he had managed to successfully get me, myself, being that my person, to be given the paperwork documents of an eviction notice or a non-renewal of apartment rental lease agreement notice that being of which he should have gotten much rather instead. He still carrying on with the same old routine of making extreme and excessive different sorts or types of daily and or nightly noises. You know, like I said, he was going at it much earlier before he must have gotten wind that I could possibly draft that being of a strawberry letter 22 to send it off to proprietors of these real estate premises and properties of a residential public facility, before he decides he want to tone it down because nothing else was working so far as to call it in. So that would be the only reason why he had stopped this crazy MF, you know, this insane cocksucker was more creepy than stupid and crazy, more creepy than ignorant and insane. Otherwise, he would have kept on going at it that much more. Or he could possibly be waiting just for another given moment in time to start up again, but maybe not as much as before if he figures that, or if he had got wind that I could possibly have been drafting a strawberry letter 22 to send it off to the proprietors of these particular real estate premises and properties of public, this is private, of a residential facility. Otherwise, I haven't heard him cut up as much as before. I would have go about it otherwise, take care of that shit in their hand. Because I'm like, I'll be damned if you got for me myself, well, not exactly for me, but against me, but that just for the speak, you know what I mean? So I think that's the idea of what I'm trying to say. But if you had got to, making that play where you got me getting that an eviction notice coming from the management of the building that has submitted it to me, whereas you should have received that, you know, I mean, you would think he would be satisfied that he managed to pull that off, unfortunately. But yet he was still going at it. Could possibly still be thinking about going at it again, maybe not as much before, since he could have possibly got wind that I could possibly be drafting a strawberry letter 22 or 23 to send to proprietors or owners for these real estate premises and properties facilities. That's the only reason I can figure that he would have toned it down. because before then he wasn't toned down nothing. He was going full speed ahead, with all that goose stepping and bumping and stomping and dropping things on the floors and dragging things across the floors, and bouncing things off the walls and ceiling, banging on the pipes, and running water and all that. But then, as I explained to you all before in previous social media broadcasting videos, there was one person that popped up in my notification section. He's been, you know, checking out this one social media broadcast video explaining the same thing, and whereas he was supposed to be leaving some intel or information as to that being of which would be regarding making reference to that being of which could possibly reflect my apartment searching quest, But when I had gone about reviewing matters to see whether or not this person really actually did, I don't see anything, none whatsoever, you know, regarding making reference to how he himself was supposed to be, you know, submitting some kind of helpful hints or information if and when I start to go about apartment searching for a new place of residence. So that just told me right there that this other person could possibly be just, another dime a dozen from a dime a dozen internet troll character perpetrating a fraud, pretending to be, you know, a sympathetic and an empathetic viewer and listener, you know, to, if anything, possibly just a closet internet troll to possibly being a closet stalker, Yeah, because he's asking me a question of, well, where you at exactly? And unfortunately, I had informed this person, more out of desperation than anything else, because I am, pressing for time. I have to be out of this here place of residence, for the atmosphere as we have it here, like say, in a couple few months, give or take, weeks or days, because of what this here proverbial neighbor from hell is a public nuisance of a problem neighbor had managed to pull the wool over the eyes of the management of the building, to fool them into thinking that I am the troublemaker when, if anything, it is he himself, of whom I have been complaining to the management of the building, state my grievances about him for the longest, for more than quite a few times, as well as I have, place emergency 911 telephone calls to police a number of times about him, And whereas here it is, to add insult to injury, I myself am given the paperwork documents of an eviction notice or a non-renewal or rental lease agreement notice, being in which he should have received much rather instead. Which I'd be glad when I finally score, be blessed with some and such other, hopefully before the deadline, before I would become homeless, where I can go over matters of the next and our new rental lease agreement for a place to rent an apartment with, the next and our new landlord for building premises, properties, facilities, real estate elsewhere for a given vicinity neighborhood community. I mean, I can imagine I already discussed this with, but then it's not like I go into, not if it's not going to. I mean, but then I would try to tell the truth, you know, and to my advantage, and hopefully nobody would get lost in the translation as to what has happened between me and the management here, you know, I can only imagine some of my self-help recovery program meeting buddies, etc., asking me questions in regard in reference to this one proverbial neighbor from hell of a male cat, or one of the dime a dozen public nuisance problem neighbors. And like they'd be like, I can imagine, I can only imagine. You'd be like, wow. So you say this character, he gives you a lullaby, that he give you a wake up call in the morning, a lullaby at night, the same old kind of ridiculously ignorant and insane noises of different sorts or type. That, yep, and just keep going at it. You know, it's like if not every hour on the hour, every other hour, every couple few hours or so, or whatever the case, he goes about it daily and nightly. I do know that much. Daily and nightly, including weekends and holidays, especially when it comes to the weekends, of any given month out of a calendar year. And I have had to put up with this crap for something like, what is it? How long has it been? 1 or 2 years. It's not a couple, 2 years, that much more. And then complaining to the management for equal as well the amount of time about him as well as the police. So he wants to flip the script on me, by, you know, after he would provoke a situation and push my emotional buttons, he would take advantage of that. And so the very minute I get to ranting and raving about him, like from, hey, could you cut the noise down? If not, you know, cut it out altogether. Or the very minute I would get to yelling in my apartment, along that same line, I thought no sense of the word. And then maybe, supplemented with something like, hey, you was one crazy MF, man. Stupid, sick SOB. Man. But then if I would ever catch you trespassing my premises or properties of a place of residence or my unit atmosphere apartment, I would slice your throat from ear to ear, hopefully only as a matter of self-defense. Then, you know, as I could be ranting and raving, he gets on the phone, you know, calls the management office downstairs, whatever real estate personnel representatives could be down there. Yeah, go to the apartment number, blah, blah, blah. He's really going at the mouth. He's threatening me and everything, talking about how here, take my head off and all that, slice my throat. Yeah, as well as take my head off. Then whereas they get to, come to my apartment door, creeping around, eavesdropping, and then it's, oh no, that will never do. Oh no, 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 no. We can't have that in this building. But when I call in about him, they take their own sweet time to drag their butts about, checking out my complaints, stated grievances about him in regard in reference to he himself, and then flip the script to add insult to injury. From there, as they assume me to be, get along to thinking in that line of thought of assuming me to be the character that he is, the troublemaker of a public nuisance problem neighbor, of one of the likes of problem neighbor, public nuisance problem neighbors or proverbial neighbors from hell. Whereas if anything, he's the problem neighbor of a public nuisance, a proverbial neighbor from hell that I've been complaining to them as well as to the police about for as long as I can remember or care to remember for that matter. From that, they give me paperwork documents as one real estate representative personnel in particular gives me the paperwork documents of an eviction notice that he should have received, and give it to me on the slide as I'm paying my rent, whereas the rent receipt that one has drafted, by some means is folded and then tells me, oh yeah, here's this other slip of paper, then which is likewise folded. This one is for you as well. And so upon my person about to leave the building, or as I was going about doing so, and something told me, or somebody had to be God said, look at that piece of paper that's folded up the other one, you know. And then I'm seeing it's an eviction notice, I'm like, what the, you know? So I try to race back to the building as fast as possible. I'm telling this person, what is this? Oh, that's an eviction notice. That's for you. No, I'm saying, I know it's an eviction notice, but why are you giving this to me? Why don't you give it to the neighbor from damn hell, the one that has been attempting to make my life living damn hell for the longest, I mean, as I have complained to you all, as well as I stated my grievance as reported the different incidents to the police after dialing emergency number 911 to explain the situation and what I have to put up with coming from him on a daily and nightly basis. And, you know, so far, it's like my words have fallen on deaf ears where the police tell me one thing, you all tell me another. Police tell me, well, that's not a criminal matter. That's a civilian one you have to take up with your landlord. And then whereas you all tell me that y'all own it, y'all trying to take care of business matters that being, but you never told me that when you're saying you own it, that you were really saying that you have some plans for me and this is it, as you confuse me with the very character that has been attempting to make my life a living damn hell upon a day and nightly basis, not only been attempting to drive me completely bonkers, but has likewise, excuse my language, or forgive me for possibly butchering the English language and American dialect, but then to think of it with that in my mind's intentions to try to backtrack here with reasonable purposes, being in order so I can go on to follow to continue for when that my person at last left off so I can finish up as a complete form of prior 9,000 saints. But then likewise, whereas he himself has been attempting for the longest to drive me out of house and home, and here it is, voila, I see that y'all have fell for his ruse or have believed his lies compared to how I was telling you all the truth. The fact of the matter that he's the troublemaker, not me. He's the nuisance problem nigga. He's the proverbial neighbor from hell. And yet you all give me an eviction notice that you should be giving him a paperwork document. Again, whereas it's representative personnel the same and more or less. Well, do you think you could get a recording? I'm not about to, I mean, I listened to enough of that, enough as is already. What good is that gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Then you have a recording. But if y'all not really checking out who exactly is making all that noise, I know it's but then if you still haven't given me that eviction notice that you should have given him, you hear what I'm saying? Let me change this channel. I don't speak. That is a lie. Means prosperity, which is televangelist. You know. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen to in and every religious televangelist. False brethren, false prophet, and Christ says the majority of them are likes prosperity. NBA basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I mean, I have time for that. I mean, I put up. I mean, I ain't gotta record it now, like as if it's something pleasant or positive, reminiscent about. You know what I'm saying, so you can have a record of. I'm like, will it really matter? And I don't know how soon he could start it, yeah, but then that just get me thinking. He probably had toned it down after he could have possibly get to thinking that maybe I could be recording him and so forth. Like, right, and then it could make him look just as much as possible. And then throw a boomerang in his plans. You know, whereas like I said, you would think that he would be satisfied that he had managed to get me to be getting receiving the paperwork document of eviction notice that he should have been receiving. But anyway, though, so then I'm about to close out shortly and make a long story short, especially with him eavesdropping now, possibly, you know. But then I get to wondering whether he be, creeping as much, or worse, he'd be creeping that much more than how he'd be going about making all that racket of noise, making extreme excessive noise upon a daily and nightly basis of different sorts of type. But then, you know, whereas the management personnel in question, being a representative, one of the representatives of these real estate premises, probably was saying and more or less, well, I got complaints about you as well. And I'm like saying more or less. Well, check it out. Either if those people or persons on his floor of his fellow neighbors, if they can't hear all those different extreme excessive noises that he be making, then it has to be either this or that. Either they are, deaf, entirely, completely deaf, or there are some such accomplices in crime of his. You know what I'm saying? Really now. I mean, this guy or fella is off his rocker. Demon possessed, faggoty, possibly worse yet, closet faggot self. Anytime a male focuses so much of his attentions upon another male to give another male the business so much, then he has to be either or, either faggoty or little actual closet faggot, worse yet, like he's getting mad because he can't make some points with me to score like he's looking for, his next a new, male lover or male bed side companion or male bed bunk buddy or male sexual partner of the same sex, really now. Or he wants to, you know, that is show how vindictive or out of spite he wants to, show his resentfulness for me not, how you say, possibly taking him up on his offer if he's giving one of them kind of flirts otherwise by attempting to make my life a living damn hell, you know, as a result of developments, my person spurning his, you know, flirtations of abnormal nature that would complement the LGBT community, some or he just want to be vindictive, show how much he can come off like, the real life Hannibal Lecter or Psycho for those two psychodrama movie flicks, films of most pitch production. Anyway, though, you all, this is where I'm at now, still putting up with this crazy, or more creepy than crazy, more creepy than stupid and crazy. I'm still putting up with this nonsense. Yeah, this creepy characters nonsense, creeping, creeping at times and at other times, making all of these ridiculously ignorant, insane, impolite, or stupid, sick, sadistic, and rude, extreme, excessive noises of different sorts of types. Now I gotta move because the management of the building, they went about their investigations or research or analysis of the situation quite, that's the path of it, very much so. That's honestly very much so improperly and unprofessionally. Otherwise, if they had really looked into these matters much more thoroughly, because there's supposed to be two sides to the story, then he would himself be the one that would be getting the paperwork documents, an eviction notice, or a non-renewal of rental, a non-renewal of apartment rental lease agreement notice than me. And disregard what you heard in the background. It's just another one of these neighbors from damn hell, being the likes of his kind, being of whom will continue to violate their apartment rental leases, and all the while at the same time disrespect the rights and privileges of their fellow neighbors, being of other tenants or residents. But then on this last note, I would like to say, if you haven't gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins. But recognize and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, being some such in one regard or another, political, militaristic, as well as political and religious, uh, centurions, Caesars, and Pharisees and Sadducees, etc. But then, nevertheless, ways he went to that cross of Calvary, become a perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. So that if any of us being of whatsoever race and whatever walks of life, fashion, or society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young, like both two sexual genders, males and females, represent not only the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within its post 911 era by numeral in the apocalyptic day and age where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared on our former previous prior to then. It was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. Word two, possibly profess some such faith in them. From there we come to be blessed in one regard, another more with one. First and foremost with this salvation, then which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And second of all, with that of his deliverance. But first, you have got to accept him as your personal Lord and Savior while you're still here upon the planet Earth in this world, while the blood is still running warm in your veins. Otherwise, your final destination will become or be once you were to make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, the afterlife, will be the lake of fire, damn hell, to be burning forever with the rest of the unsaved, lost down human souls and unbelievers and non-believers to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and his demons compared to how we as believing God will be across that great divide. I say compared to how we as believing God will be across that great divide is what I meant to say. Prince Peace continue regular mind compared to how the Prince of Mind to confuse my speech. And as I think I would with that in my mind, take the backtrack table, bridges and all purposes being on such born to power to continue from where I went, that my person last left off so that I can finish it as complete the form of crown line. And we, as believing God, will be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell. And coming to like minded believers in the presence of God and his angels, otherwise, But you have got to accept him as your personal Lord and Savior while you're still here, you know, so you can have that insurance policy, that fire insurance policy for the lake of fire, damn hell. Otherwise, if you leave this world without him, then it's a done deal. It's not BK or Burger King. You can't have it your way. You hear what I'm saying? It don't work like that, for those other realms, You may do what you want and think here, in this world, but not there. Opposite this here existence, where this one is temporary, the other existence is permanent. Y'all take care. Peace.